Hey guys, it's Evergreen, and recently I have played through Guardians of the Galaxy, and today I want to talk about it and give you my input as far as what I perceived and what I got all from the gameplay and the story. So without further ado, if you like my videos, consider maybe like and subscribe. Comment down below if there's anything that you're curious about as far as what I haven't covered in videos, if you have any questions, and also if you have any other games that you're curious about as far as reviewing and getting my input. So let's get into it. Are you left with the bitter taste of a looter gone wrong? And you kind of wanted a fulfilling story with all the things that make a great single player experience, but you kind of feel let down by the recent Avengers game. Then perhaps this will scratch that itch, as well as shine a good light on Square Enix. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, it's one of its kind. It's one I honestly was skeptical about at first because I saw the trailer and honestly thought it looked kind of shitty. Well, let me tell you that the trailer doesn't do this game justice at all, and I hope that I can do a little more for it than its own trailer did, and even what was shown, at least to me, before the game came out, that made me so skeptical about it. So, as usual, let's start with the story. The game starts out similar to the movies, where the Guardians are out on a bounty to get loot from the quarantine zone, which is this place where like a great war was fought and the shadows of the past lie. And we get a sliver of Peter's past where his mom and him have like a slight moment, and then the game cuts to the present where it's all just a dream. The team is somewhat new, with Gamora and Drax being the newest members, which shows, a slight distrust between the two. Because obviously Gamora being the daughter of Thanos and Drax being the slayer of Thanos. So there's just that distrust. Star-Lord accidentally releases this being from this thing while they're in the quarantine zone. From what I could tell, it's a soul stone or even just the mind stone. Regardless of what it is. He and the team then are like basically about to face this beast that they came out to like vanquish from the place, when all of a sudden the thing that Peter Quill fucking released comes and just wrecks the monster that they were after. The heroes then make a quick escape out of the quarantine zone and into the hands of Nova Corps. We're introduced to a young cadet, Gold, and this guy called the Grand Unifier, briefly. Star-Lord then has some time to get to know Cadet Gold because he kind of like saves her because, he's supposed to be a hero. And you're able to make the choices that will impact the game flow, such as like whether or not you want to like side with her and understand where she's coming from as far as her feelings go, with like how she's viewed as just a child to her mom, and she feels like she deserves to be recognized for a little more than that. The Nova Corps then gives a fine to the Guardians, and then they have a limited amount of time to like repay the fine. And that's the lead up from here. And I'll be brief because like the game has so much to dive into, and I feel like a lot of it needs to be experienced firsthand. The heroes go to sell either Rocket or Groot to try to pay off their debt. They fail, of course, and you're chased to the ends of the galaxy to repay this mortally expensive debt, meaning they wanted blood. They wanted somebody's head on a pike. When they return to Nova Corps, they find that the ship is eerily quiet and the remaining Nova fighters in a state of mind control. The Guardians are split because Peter wants to do what's right, and Rocket, he just wants to hightail it out of there and just keep running. They eventually find out that the Grand Unifier is the cause for all the mind control, and they have to go to nowhere to get help from Cosmo, and then they meet these bounty hunters called the Blood Brothers. And like the Blood Brothers, they're interesting characters, but like they're nowhere near like impactful to the game. They're like this really cool fight scene where you got to keep them separated so that way you can actually do damage, but other than that, that's as far as they go. I don't know anything about them, which would have been cool if they had more lore to them. Cosmo then stops the fighting and demands answers. They then go to seek answers after Drax is lost in a trance, and Mantis is able to guide him to the Flora planet that has like this gas that makes the words of our heroes become reality. They then find the person who started the cult technically, but like it really wasn't his fault. We find out that this cult has like spread across the galaxy like rapidly. He helps free Drax, and then they go to fight an ancient dragon in the hopes of using it as a peace offering for Lady Hellbender, who they kind of fucked over because they tried to scam her into like giving them money for either Rocket or Groot. And then a grand fight ensues, and the Guardians are successful, and then Groot has to revive the dragon because Lady Hellbender like straight up is angry. She's about to kill some fools for killing this ancient dragon that has like been legend for years and probably millennia. The group then goes to fight the church, who at this point have accumulated to the probably billions of followers based on a false promise. They then free Cadet Gold, who is believed to be, I don't want to say it's like the great prophecy basically. Like she's the one that will fulfill the promise. And that at least that's what they believe. And then they go to defeat the Grand Unifier. So then Adam Warlock absorbs the being that Star-Lord accidentally released, and the story comes to an end, or so we think. And honestly, I did my best to keep this as spoiler-free because I truly believe it is a story that should be witnessed, firsthand, and you should play this game. I really do. Like, it is a very good story game. So, as per usual, I want to move on to the gameplay, because that is another key factor if you play this game and if you're even going to be interested in it, because it is definitely a different style of gameplay. So the gameplay was pretty difficult at first. I felt like taking control of a whole team to be consuming and tiresome at first, but by the end of the game I felt like I had learned the combos and how to use each character to be very satisfying, with Groot to hold enemies, Drax delivering powerful blows, and Gamora swiftly slicing through foes, and Rocket doing what he does, crowd control. They felt like they all had something unique to offer to the game and the fight scenes, and I felt like there were parts where the team was separated and like they felt so empty and lackluster. Like you didn't feel like heroes, you just felt like individuals. And that's the thing that makes this game cool, is because it's like the point of the Guardians of the Galaxy is this is a team, and they make it very straightforward that as a team, that is where they're the best. That's when they shine the best, is as a team. They don't do really well as individuals because Star-Lord doesn't really do a whole lot of damage by himself, but when he has his team members, he just wrecks. The movements feel smooth, and with the option to make time slow down and come close to a 1-to-1 in the settings, because at default it slows down time, so you have time to pick and choose what you want your team members to do. But in the options, you can change that up and make it more customized to what you feel works best for you. If you want it to be 1-to-1, where like you have absolutely nothing slowing down anything, and you're doing what you got to do at the fastest rate possible, then that's what you're going to do. You're going to enjoy it. The upgrades that you can give the characters and Star-Lord all felt very useful, and not like I was grinding to max out health or even damage. The game is only completable by utilizing the full potential of the team, and I found myself enjoying the game the more I progressed, and making things I first didn't like become things that I mastered and loved. The gameplay is definitely a learning curve for people who don't play games like this. However, once you learn the controls, you'll be dispatching foes left and right and getting the hang of things relatively quick. I found the characters to be extremely satisfying and relatable, and the banter between the team to be more touching, and it felt just natural. Like it felt like it wasn't just forced banter. It was like, yeah, I could see myself getting into a little bit of a scuffle argument type thing with this stuff happening. And like the connection between Rocket and Groot sharing this bond that the movies showed us, and the distrust between Gamora and Drax felt very subtle yet straightforward. The characters didn't feel like they were an origin story, but a continuation from a bonding experience that they had already been through in the past. And the side characters that knew Peter made this feel more real, like there was a history between them. and that led to a more believable story and setting that I grew to appreciate. I truly believe that this game does deserve a spot next to Insomniac's Spider-Man as far as storytelling, and that the characters are believable and nothing close to the characters that we got with the dumpster fire Avenger game. As far as the bad goes, there wasn't really anything that stuck out to me. Like, I personally wanted more of this game. So the one bad thing really turns out not to be a bad thing. So in summary, Square Enix really gave us a game that we can appreciate for the story that it has and the characters that it brought to life, offering an experience that has to be one of 2021's best for me. The game has more to offer than their recent release ever has, and the quality makes me feel like they should have done this with the Avengers game, like the same way, with a single player experience that has a memorable story rather than a looter shooter that we got, or whatever you want to call it. That being said, if they want to give the Avengers another go, but in this format, I'm all for it, because, like, imagine Captain America leading the Avengers in this style, you telling Hulk where to smash, you telling Tony, hey, we need firepower from up here, aiming down over here, Black Widow, doing what she does, and Hawkeye, or just I could imagine only. And hopefully one day we'll see that imagination come to life. So as far as the characters, so I give this story an 8.5 out of 10, and the gameplay like a 7.5 out of 10, just because I'm not really used to it, but still really good. And the characters definitely get a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed their banter and the way they were. So overall, I really recommend this game. Making this, honestly, is one of my favorite games this last year. Like, honestly, if it goes on sale, get it. But honestly, I do believe that it's worth close to full price. Like, it was definitely worth the buy. I probably will end up playing through it again and exploring the different options, because there's definitely got to be different endings. They talk about that throughout the game, about different endings, so it has to be there. If you like my reviews of games, the content I put out, a subscribe would be great. A like is awesome. And all the support that I've got so far, everybody, I appreciate you. I'm sorry that I don't put these videos out as recent or as often as I should, or even would like to, but I appreciate that you're still there and you're still watching the content that I put out. And comment down below. Peace, love, homies.